related to that. But in of themselves, they are like going up steps to reach something. They're not actually what you're looking for. They're not the goal. They're means to the goal. Bhagavad Dharma is the goal, in one sense, if we understand it properly. It's eternal constitutional duty of every single thing that exists. Every single living entity. It's not, oh, that's your religion, I have another religion. That means one has not understood anything about real religion. Children are like that, they only generally see things from their own angle. Ordinary people are like that. That's the verse says, huh? Me and mine, this is ours, this is yours. They don't understand. Bhagavad Dharma means understanding everything in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything. There is no such thing as a competitor of God, as Naimitya Dharma sometimes, let's say, imagines or has a concept of. In fact, there's no duality in Bhagavad Dharma. That, even in their case, as Prabhupada says, even Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna talks about matter and spirit, it's from the point of view of the conditioned souls. From Krishna's point of view, everything is spirit. From a pure devoted's point of view, everything is spirit. Uttama Bhagavat sees everything as spirit. But some living entities have forgotten that. And they see duality. They see yours and mine. They see things in differentiation between. Of course there is variety. But everything is God's energy. It's not this religion or that. There's only one religion. Your religion is... And people fight over this, like anything. I was just reading last night. What was that I was reading last night? Oh, Jagannath Puri. I couldn't believe it. Incredible. I was just reading. I was looking at names, different names of the Lord, and I was looking at names in relationship to Jagannath Puri. So I was looking at Nilachala Chandra, and various names like that. And it came up the history of the Jagannath Deity, according to the materialistic person, just in the last 500 years. There must have been 20 or 30 times that various Muslims came there, and according to history, it may not have happened, of course, but according to the description, they burnt the deities, desecrated the temple, smashed the temple, everything, one after the next. We're going to smash your God. We're going to smash your religion. Even the British, they may not have smashed deities, but they try to smash the faith. Everything's about smashing the faith of the people, especially in Kali Yuga. But they don't really know. Well, some people do. But in general, people don't really know what is real religion. They compare it to a materialistic experience. And the highest experience they've got is some kind of heavenly experience. Some kind of pleasure plane. But they don't really know what is our constitution. They vaguely serve God, but no idea what that really means. I may see many religions, it's like institutionalized. It's almost like, we're the only way, and so on. But there is only one way, that's Bhagavad Dharma. It's not a religion as we know it. It's the eternal constitution of every single thing that exists. Understanding even the atom, everything's relationship with Godhead. It's not, that's condemned, and that's consciousness may be in ignorance, but it's the actual essential energy itself is eternally Krishna's energy. So it's the science. And that's why Prabhupada says this is a science, this is not a religion. Because it's the truth of the understanding of the truth of everything's eternal constitution, just like modern science, physics, biology, whatever it is, tries to understand the root. Where is this coming from? What's the cause of this? Right? Supposed to be. They may not get there, but that's the plan. To understand what causes the universe, what causes this particular reaction, etc. So that's what Bhagavad Dharma is, simply the understanding of the truth. That's all. It's not some new religion, some dogmatic thing that some man created. No, it's the eternal nature of the soul. It's really the truth. It's the essence of science. What is the reason for everything? Why the planets? Why are we born? Why are we dead? It's all answered. Eternal understanding. Bhagavad Dharma has no such contradictions because everything is seen in the light of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not from our own historical time, place, and circumstantial whatever definition. Conceptions of your religion, my religion, are completely absent. What does it say in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam? Dharma Koitava. And what does that mean? Dharma Projita Koitavatra. Nimat Saranam Satam. What does this verse mean? Second verse of Bhagavatam. As the Rasamandal Prabhu. Anyone else know this verse? This Srimad Bhagavatam, this is you could say, the goal, we could say, is ideas, it's all pointing to the same point, to the same goal, but in most cases that isn't the case. It's pointing, my goal is not the same as your goal. Your God is not the same as my God. No matter how you try to reason with, persons who are, let's say, caught up in what the Bhagavatam says, as kaitava, cheating religions. No matter what you say, they cannot generally grasp it that your God is the same as my God. No, he's not. It's not. In my book, it doesn't mention whoever you call your God. Your God is not the God. My God is God. Your God's not God. Sometimes they say, very, very, almost, it's better not to get into it, they sometimes start blaspheming. So, Prabhupada says here, this idea of my religion, your religion, there's no such contradiction in the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, what? Completely rejects all, pardon? Yeah, all these materialistic, cheating religions that do not give us a clear concept. And even the Bhagavatam itself, if we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, when Narada Muni comes and approaches Vyasadeva, basically he's telling Vyasadeva, you've compiled cheating religious doctrines. And we're talking of Bhagavad Gita, is included in that, by the way, although it may not be emphasized. It wasn't like it is absolutely bogus, but you haven't hit the nail on the head. You haven't really presented Bhagavad Dharma. You've presented so many different other branches, but you haven't come to the goal. It's like you're driving around all day, but you don't know where you're going. You know how to drive. You're driving pretty well, but you don't know where your goal is. Or you're playing a football game and you don't know what the goal is. You're just playing a game. It's useless unless you know what the goal is. A waste of time. Or maybe having your sense gratification, but it's a waste of time. Complete. Srimad Bhagavatam says, waste of time. What does it say? Shrama eva hi kevalam. All activities you perform, dharmasvati pumsam, vishvaksena katas, no pari adiyadivating, shrama eva hi kevalam, are a waste of time if they do not glorify the personality of God in the right way, in the full way. Not in the part-time way. One for you, one for me. Conditional. No, pure devotion. Srimad Bhagavatam is directed towards pure devotional service. Not this conditional idea that God is my order supplier. That may be a childlike approach, but if that is the conclusion, it's cheating people. It's denying people the opportunity for their eternal relationship with Krishna. They may have some distant relationship, whatever, impersonal relationship, some conditional relationship, but they're eternal. What concept is there of rasa, relationship with the Lord, eternal relationship? It's almost unmentioned. So Vyasadeva compiled so many scriptures. The Vedas divided up the original one, Atharva, into four. Vedanta Sutra, Puranas. Incredible teaching, so many texts describing not just this present moment, but different places in the universe, different histories, different everything, different paths of philosophy. Everything was there in Vyasadev's compilation. He's also mentioned devotion to the personality of God. He's described it depth in personal liberation. So many things, even the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata is there. So many texts, the Itihasas. He has compiled such a contribution. Everything is there, practically speaking. But he hasn't really made it clear what the goal of it all is. It's missing out. He's missed it. So Narada Muni is chastising him. You have misled people in the name of teaching religious principles. You've misled people. They will think the goal is material. They will think the goal is heaven. They will think the goal is Brahman. You've done a disservice. You know, you accept as authority. You've produced so many literatures, but you haven't emphasized the real point of it all. All the purpose of the Vedas, Vedaischa Savirahame Vedyo, Vedanta Krit Veda Vedacham, is to know Krishna. It is not to get freed of sinful reaction. It is not to go to heaven. It is not to be liberated. It is not to be good or to be successful. It's to know Krishna. That means to know one's relationship with Krishna. To know one's eternal relationship with Krishna. It's not enough just to say, it's a good start. Oh, God is great and we are small and we are meant to serve Him. You have to know how to serve Him. If you say, I love someone, you have to know what to do, how to express that. It's not just a sentiment. I love you, but I do absolutely nothing. In fact, I do what you don't like. Is that loving someone? I kill people. I kill other entities. For why? Wholly and solely for my pleasure. No other reason whatsoever. Is that loving someone? Loving yourself, but you don't even know who the self is. You think the self is your body or your mind, right? Isn't it? I am this body. I am this or I am a that. That is not constitutional. Even if you look at it historically, in our own history, it's a temporary thing. It didn't exist a few years ago. This doctrine, that doctrine didn't even exist. They're historical. They're not eternal. They're not constitutional. They're supposed to be related to that. But unless they bring us to that constitutional platform, they're keeping us in the material concept of life. The Prabhupada goes on. They're completely absent. And the Bhagavatam, as the verse mentions, very interesting enough, in that second verse, it's completely rejects all religious principles which are materially motivated. Right? Cheating religions, materially motivated. And it's only understood by those who are Nimatsaranam Satam, which means completely non-envious. Envy is an interesting word. I don't know if Prabhupada's going to go into depth in the purport. We'll see. Let's have a look. I'm sure he'll mention that verse. Bhagavat Dharma means following the orders given by the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. Bhagavan, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityagya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Interesting verse, isn't it? God is one and God is for everyone. Therefore everyone must surrender to God. That is the pure conception of religion. It's not your God or my God. There's only one God. Whatever God orders constitutes religion. Dharmam tu shad bhagavat panitam. In Bhagavat Dharma there is no question of what you believe and what I believe. Anyone can understand that's a relative term, what I believe. It's nothing to do with what I believe. It's what it is. What is, as you mentioned, Bhagavat Dharma, is God's order or the words of God. It's not our words. Everyone must be, it's like if you say, I have my law. Oh, no, I have my law. You're living in Malaysia. My law is you drive on the left. No, my law is you drive on the right. No, my law is you drive backwards. My law is you crash into everyone you can see. My law is, you don't put your safety belt on. Right? What difference does it make? Oh, it does make a difference externally, but legally, what difference does it make? You can say that to the policeman. Excuse me, sir, you've just gone the wrong way down a one-way street. I'm going to have to fine you. No, that's not my law. You can have your law if you want, but I've got my law. My law, I'm going to arrest you. Anyone who stops me for driving the other way down a one-way street is to be arrested. That's what my law says. They're not going to listen to you, are they? No, they're going to arrest you if you get too hard about it. No, just fine you. There's a law, and everyone, like it or not, you have to follow the law, isn't it? In Malaysia, there's a law. Some people do make up their own laws. They don't follow. Human beings are meant to follow. Huh? Non-humans, they may not follow, and they may get some temporary effect or result, but they don't legally get punished. You don't see dogs in court. You cross the road, in the wrong place, or something like that. You're under arrest. What have you got to say in your defense? Woof, woof. You don't see dogs in the court, do you? Maybe they're not, being tried. The monkey. A monkey has just stolen your glasses and you call the police. They arrest the monkey. The monkey is in the court. Okay, monkey, you know this is a serious offense to steal someone's glasses. What have you got to say? What will they say? They'll try looking at your glasses and see if they can jump on you and grab yours as well. They don't have any intelligence. They're not held responsible as such. They're acting according to their nature. Karmic, conditional nature. But a human being is supposed to be responsible. They're supposed to know the law. If you don't know the law, you make up your own law. Or someone gives you some of the law and you change that. Is that going to work? Not at all. People do that. I've seen it in France. They have signs on the road and people, change the sign. I remember when they put the speed limit down to 80 kilometers an hour on all the main, not the highways, but the main roads, People are really disturbed. You can't go more 80 kilometers an hour on this fast road. It's ridiculous. And a whole road I went along one time, driving along. Someone had put a 1 in front of the 80 on every single signpost. 180. What do you do? You're supposed to say, I didn't know it said 180. I thought you could go 180. It's not an answer. It's not an excuse just because you feel that's what you'd like. You can't change the law of God. You can do what you like, but you can't change the law of the land in one sense, unless the lawmaker changes it. We can't change it. It's constitutional. The government says it's the Constitution. Law is a big part of the Constitution. So understanding what God wants now, not what He wanted 100 years ago or 1 million years in the future, but what am I supposed to do now? What do you think, Shiva Chaitanya? What do you think He wants us to do now? What do you think He wants us to do now? I'll leave it to you to work that one out. I was listening to a lecture on last night, Bhagavan Keshava Maharaj in Vrindavan, and he was talking about that. He was talking a lot about sleep. And Shruti Kirti was there as well, and afterwards, you couldn't see him, but I could hear him. And he was giving some comments on Srila Prabhupada, on sleep. It was funny. Prabhupada was flying from New York to Detroit. Short flight, it was a big plane. Packed, the plane was packed. And many, many devotees came. They heard this short flight, so they wanted to go to Detroit with Prabhupada. So the whole, 2 lines were full of devotees, And Prabhupada was chanting, and Shruti Kirti was... Prabhupada would always sit by the window. And Shruti Kirti would sit next to her, and other devotees were, on the other chairs. So Prabhupada was chanting on his beads, and he looked along the line. Every single devotee was like this. Every one of them, about 15 devotees, all heads down. And Prabhupada said, what's wrong with them? Why are they all sleeping, he said. Look in the plane. No one else is sleeping. Only the devotees are sleeping. It was a daytime flight. Sri Kirti said, he realized that you could never answer Prabhupada. He was always not afraid, but he always was hesitant about ever answering. He just remained ever kind of, because he knew you'd never get the right answer anyway, practically speaking. So Prabhupada was not happy to see them all sleeping. At other times, in other situations, he didn't. He just did this. For instance, there was a time when Prabhupada maybe just finished class, and it was prasadam time, and the devotees were taking prasadam, and Prabhupada came to see what was going on in the prasadam room. So he spoke in India, in Bengal, and he said to the Bengali devotee, he said, who was serving, he said, "Give him more chapatis, give him more rice." Prabhupada had been talking all the time at that time about reducing your sleep and eating. Then he went and said, "Give them more chapatis, give them more rice." And then Prabhupada looked around and said, "Where's Panditji?" Panditji is the name, Padumna. Yeah, Padumna. "Where's Panditji?" And Sriti Kirya, one of them, I think Sriti said, "Prabhupada is chanting his rounds. Why is he not taking prasadam? Where is he?" So he's in his room, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada went to his room and said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Prabhupada, I'm chanting." "Why are you not taking prasadam?" Srila Prabhupada, because presumably liked prasadam. He was a big eater, although he was slim as a matchstick almost. He loved to eat. And so he thought, and he would fall asleep as soon as he ate, practically. So Prabhupada had been talking a lot about cutting down on sleep. And because you eat too much, you sleep too much. So he presumably said, "Prabhupada, I have been here, I fall asleep if I eat, Prabhupada. I have to cut down on sleeping. I'm just taking milk and a little bit like that, Prabhupada said, "What is this? If you don't eat, how will you do your service?" He said, "You go and take prasadam now. I don't care if you sleep 10 hours a day, as long as you do your service and take prasadam." So different circumstances were there. Same in Bhagavatam class, Now there's another story, I won't tell it. Of Srila Prabhupada giving class, and how so many times, boom, heads are down. Heads are down. What to do? We have, there's no excuse, by the way. It's not that you can say, "Well, you've been up all night, Prabhupada." We saw Prabhupada, we had 2 hours sleep. He said, "That's no excuse. That's no excuse." And other times he would, different. It depends on the time, place, and circumstance. The idea is it takes time. It's a process. Why did Parikshit Maharaj not sleep? Was he on some drug? Taking some, amphetamine or something? Why did amphetamine is? You're a doctor. Something to keep you awake. So was he doing that? No. Why was he not sleeping? Pardon? Was there someone there? "Wake up! Don't fall asleep! Wake up! Wake up! Come on! Wake up! You're not supposed to sleep. You're on the verge of death. Wake up!" Was it like that? No. Why was he not sleeping? Well, he's a Mahabhagavat, no doubt, but in a sense, define what that would be. Why was he not sleeping? Mahabhagavats, for various reasons, may appear to sleep also. Prabhupada appeared to sometimes sleep. Not much, but he did. For various reasons. But in the case of Parikshit Maharaj, at least for the 7 days and nights, he didn't sleep a minute or a second. Why not? You may have had this experience. When you have something which really means a lot to you. Say for instance you're with your girlfriend and it's like a critical moment. You don't generally fall asleep. When someone's about, if you're being attacked, there's people attacking you, you don't generally, "Hold on a minute, can you hold on a minute, I'm a bit tired, I need to take rest for an hour or two, I'll see you in an hour or two." Just hold on, just stand outside. If someone's attacking you, with a gun or something, are you going to tell them, "Okay, no problem, I'm a bit tired, just hold on, I'm going to take rest for an hour or two"? You say that, you're going to take rest forever. You're going to be dead. You're alert, right? The bombs are falling. even yesterday, although I saw many people seem to sleep through it, I don't know, but the plane was really rocking. Did you notice that? For 45 minutes, it was ba-dum, 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 like this, you know. And some people seem to be completely asleep. Not even notice it. But generally speaking, because that's not like the same thing as something you're consciously aware of. But, you know, you don't fall asleep when there's a crisis, when there's something really important that you want or you need or you have to deal with. You don't fall asleep. My father told me when he was in the army in the Second World War, he had to sometimes go 7 days without sleep. He wasn't tired. He had no choice. They were on, you know, death was right in front of your face at every moment. You couldn't sleep. It's another kind of opposite almost. But when there's a high purpose, it's like you wake up in the morning. If you don't really have any purpose, you don't feel like getting up. Right? You don't feel like getting up. What's the point? There has to be a purpose. So what was Parikshit Maharaj's purpose? Of course, he knew he was about to die. That was critical. But aside from that, I know materially sometimes people, when they know they're about to die, they cram all the sense gratification in the world they can get into their last few days, whatever they can do. But what was Parikshit's purpose or motive? I mentioned that already. Try to listen. He was about to die. He had 7 days left to live. But so what? Materialists know that too. And they try to enjoy it in their last 7 days. That doesn't mean anything. What was Parikshit Maharaj's point? Yes, in a broader sense, but specific. What did he want to know? What was his question? The key question of Srimad Bhagavatam in the end of the first canto. What was his question? Excuse me? Well, you've gone to the answer as well. You're correct, but you've answered it also, more or less. His question was, what is the duty of a person about to die? What is his duty? Maybe I didn't fully hear, but I think you mentioned, because in the next chapter, Sutta Goswami rather answers him. What is the duty at the time of death? So that, of course, people may answer differently. But in this particular case, what is the duty? What is the purpose at the time of death? What is the actual goal? What should we be thinking of? Excuse me, what? Huh? Unto Narayana Smriti, and should be thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the time of death. So Srimad Bhagavatam is aimed at this. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is aimed at this point. To help us to remember Krishna, to understand who is Krishna, to understand our relationship with Krishna. Krishna conscious movement is aimed at that. It is a science of understanding the eternal relationship with Krishna. When one understands, there is no room for sleep. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of one of these verses that when describing how Parikshit Maharaj gave up all eating and sleeping, it wasn't because he was giving up eating and sleeping. Mayavadis may also do that. Materialists may also. I've met materialistic people who hardly sleep and hardly. I was hitchhiking one time, almost 50 years ago. I'll never forget this man. He was a lorry driver. He picked me up, driving a truck. I was hitchhiking. I was going from one temple to another. And he picked me up and he said, I was asking him his lifestyle and what he did. And I know we came around to eating and sleeping. He said, I don't really like eating. I just take a couple of sandwiches a day. And I said, I love driving. I only sleep about 2 hours a day. 2 hours a day. Margaret Thatcher, she would never sleep more than 2.5 hours a day. Prime Minister of England. She had no time to sleep. She was so absorbed in her business. what she considers her duty. So absorbed in it. When a person's so absorbed in something else, it becomes a disturbance. A disturbance. Eating and look at the Goswamis. How many hours a day did they sleep? The 6 Goswamis. Maximum an hour and a half, and quite often not even that. How much did they eat? How many pizzas a day did they eat? How much rice a day did they eat? Nothing. Nothing. Bhagavath Das would sometimes just take a little poundful, buttermilk, once every few days. It wasn't that they were, proud of that, advertising it. How much are you? I'm not eating at all, huh? Oh, never mind, keep trying, you'll come to my platform eventually. No pride at all. They had no time. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said he had no time even to go on pilgrimage, although he did for the sake of others. We have no time to waste. Why? Because he said, I have no time hearing and chanting. There's no time for anything else. Parikshit Maharaj was so absorbed in hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam that he never even, it wasn't like he was like hanging on there, how many more minutes to go? When's the fast going to break? When is breakfast time? Ding! Bam! You got all your mahas saved from the day before. Not at all. And all day you're meditating on it. I'm so tired. I'm so hungry. This is torture. Not at all. He wasn't thinking about eating and sleeping. The thought never entered his mind because he's so full in thinking or hearing the message from Sukadeva Goswami of Srimad Bhagavatam. So absorbed. It's a question of absorption. But we're not absorbed. Sometimes, a little bit. Sometimes, a little bit. We're not on that platform, fair enough. But Prabhupada writes, in the purport there, he said, this is an excellent example of how Krishna consciousness will spread all over the world. When we have no more demand, it may still be there, but there's no demand. It's not like there's a big thing. Sleeping is like, wow, what a relief. Sleep, I'm relieved. Eating, can't wait for breakfast. Don't worry, it's almost time. Been starving since 8 o'clock last night. Phew. What a relief. I'll die. But it cannot be imitated. It's a process which leads to that. We have to cultivate. Let's see what Prabhupada says. That we got on that. Thank you, Siva Chaitanya Prabhu, for bringing us into that topic. Everyone must believe in the Supreme Lord and carry out His orders. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. This is the high level of the orders of the Lord. Whatever Krishna says, whatever God says, should be directly carried out. That is Dharma, religion. We have the 2 Dharmas. In this world we also do that. Naimittika Dharma. It descends from the Sanatana Dharma in its a pure state. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, these Naimittika Dharmas tend to get perverted. They tend to get changed. They tend to get compromised. People compromise. They take what they like and reject what they don't like, etc., etc. So you don't get the result. It doesn't lead to Sanatana Dharma. It stays. It's not even Naimittika Dharma in reality. It becomes Adharma or some other form of perversion. Misunderstanding. If one is actually Krishna conscious, he cannot have any enemy. It's not like, now we see, maybe sentimentally we try to avoid saying that, but in many ways other religions are our enemy. And we can tell so many instances like that, where, even in interreligion, when it really comes down to it, it's not really very much like that. So, since his only engagement is to induce to surrender to Krishna, others to induce others to surrender to Krishna, How can he have any enemies? He sees everyone else as simply driven by the modes of nature, with the modes of nature under Krishna's direction because of the individual's perverted desire, misuse of their intelligence, and then consequently their karma. They may be acting in various ways, but ultimately a pure devotee sees them as just being a victim, basically, of their own unintelligence, and consequently the material energy. They're driven by the modes of nature. We read in Bhagavad Gita again and again how actually it's the modes that are working. They're working in such a way because of our desire and karma, but ultimately it's the modes of nature which are, the reason why one person is beautiful and one person is ugly and one person is born here and one person is born there. One's born in this naimittika situation or temporary situation, another in another situation. It's not the person themselves, they're aloof from that. But people don't know that. They identify themselves with their temporary situation, whatever conditional lifestyle that goes along with it. They're in ignorance. So a pure devotee it's like you do that with a child. You don't expect the child to have the intelligence to know what to do and what not to do. It takes time. Childlike. If one advocates the Hindu religion, the Muslim religion, the Christian religion, the religion or that religion, there will be conflicts. Say no more. The world speaks for itself. History shows that the followers of religious systems without a clear conception of God have fought with one another. There are many instances of this in human society, but systems of religion that do not concentrate upon service to the Supreme are temporary and cannot last for long because they are full of envy. They're temporary. You can see they have a beginning. They have a beginning. Everything has a beginning has an end. Bhagavad Dharma has no beginning. It has no end. These are the systems of time, place, and circumstance to try to help people to come to Bhagavad Dharma, but they conclude there was no religion before ours. Didn't exist. Practically speaking, it's like that. Science also supporting that. No human society before 7,000 years or something or another. And even then it was quite uncivilized. Only now we're civilized. There are many activities directed against such religious systems, and therefore one must give up the idea of my belief and your belief. Everyone should believe in God and surrender unto Him. That is Bhagavad Dharma. Surrender. Bhagavad Dharma is not a concocted sectarian belief, for it entails research to find out how everything is connected with Krishna. Isha vasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagachav jagatam tena chaktena bunjita magadkashsidna. According to the Vedic injunctions, sarvam kalvam midam brahma. Brahman, the Supreme, is present in everything. Krishna's everywhere. Spirit everywhere, Spirit. Bhagavad Dharma captures this presence of the Supreme. Bhagavad Dharma does not consider everything in the world to be false. Because everything emanates from the Supreme, nothing can be false. It is energy. Different energies, no doubt. Because everything emanates from the Supreme, nothing can be false. Everything has some use in the service of the Supreme. For example, we are now dictating into a microphone and recording on a dictating machine, and thus we are finding how the machine can be connected to the Supreme Brahman. Since we are using this machine in the service of the Lord, it is Brahman. That's a difficult relative concept, isn't it? Because we see it as it is, and for us it's material. We don't see it from the spiritual perspective. But when it's used in the service of Krishna, it's considered Brahman, because how we see things and how we relate to things, in one sense, determines the difference between matter and spirit. From the material point of view, it looks like it's matter. From the spiritual point of view, it's spirit. Darkness is only an absence of light. It doesn't have its own actual existence. When light is there, it's no longer dark. For those who are in dark, those who are not in the light, it still seems to be in the dark. If you're in the daytime and you've got blindfolds or you're blind, it still looks dark because your eyes are closed. Everything looks dark. When you have opened the eyes, then you see it's not all dark. It's light. But people are in darkness. They're in ignorance. They can't see anything properly. Nothing. Everything looks like material. Even a devotee, a Mahatma, a Bhagavat, looks material. His philosophy sounds material. You're doing the same thing as us. I'm driving a car. There's no difference. They don't understand anything's connection with Krishna. Matter means that which appears to be disconnected from Krishna. Well, it's not in reality, but it appears like that. Spirit is that which is connected to Krishna. From our perspective, it's a state of consciousness. We'll finish the purport. Since we are using this machine in the service of the Lord, it is Brahman. This is the meaning of Sarva Kalvamidam Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Everything is spirit. First understanding. ABC of spiritual life, or of real religion principles, is your eternal spirit soul. Bhagavad Gita starts, that's the beginning, and that's only an introduction to spirituality. Bhagavad Gita ends, as we heard Prabhupada mention, Sarvadharma Pratyagya. Give up all these Naimittika dharmas. Give them all up. Give them up. Surrender fully to me. Completely surrender to me. Give up all other shelters, all other processes, everything. Well, even though I've given them Varnashram, this one, that one. Give them up. Surrender to me. Don't be attached. That's the end. It goes up to that point. And that's where Srimad Bhagavatam begins. So the real essence begins at that point. It doesn't end at that point. That's the beginning of it. Nothing is mithya. Everything, or false. Everything is factual. Just misunderstood. Bhagavat Dharma is called Sarvotkrishtha, the best of all religious systems. Let's get that right. Sarvotkrishtha. I can't remember that word before. Sarvotkrishtha. Huh? Sarva? Sarvakrishna. That's the word Prabhupada's mentioning here. Sarvakrishna. The best of all religious systems. Because those who follow Bhagavat Dharma are not envious of anyone. No one. No animal, no bird, no beast, no enemy, nobody. Therefore they're Diro Rajano Priyakaro. They have no enemy. They're a friend to everyone. Pure devotees. They see everyone as the servant of the Lord, and they're feeling, if only, in this world anyway, they're trying to reconnect everyone with God. Nothing to do with what religion, gender, sex, color, race, nothing. Everyone's a spirit soul. And if we don't have that understanding, then we see all of this duality. We judge according to the externals. You're black, I'm white, you're a man, you're a woman, you're old, you're young, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Hindu, you're an atheist. We judge only on the externals. We don't understand the real unity, the real nature of the soul. Whereas so-called religions are meant for a particular type of person who believes in a particular way. And that applies just about to everything in the world. Such discrimination has no place in Krishna consciousness. I even a devotee the other day was saying, I think I prefer the Christians than the this and the that. Has no place in Krishna consciousness. That means we're also on that platform of let's say, discrimination, which we may be. If we scrutinize the religious system meant for worship of demigods or anyone else but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will find that they are full of envy and therefore impure. And that's the essential thing, envy. The characteristic of the spiritual world, sometimes Prabhupada would say, is that there is no envy in the spiritual world. It's a distinguishing feature. Envy is a big topic. It's not just, you paint a green picture, like envious. It has many things. The very concept that this is mine means we're envious. Prabhupada said the only thing we can say is mine is Krishna. If we think anything else is mine, there's a degree of envy. It filters through everything that exists in this, in the world of Maya. Brahman, Brahmajyoti, merging into Brahman is basically the personification of envy. Although it's spiritual, it's full of envy. Although one's not even consciously aware, but it's envious of hey, look who's arrived! He's just come from the mountains. Hey, Balaram. Wow, just come from the battlefield. Haribol, Balaram, welcome to Sri Sri Jagannath Mandir. Haribol. How was the flight? Oh, we had a rocky ride. It was about a quarter, or maybe a third of the journey was bumping up and down. Yours was smooth, huh?
Yeah, all is
good. Okay. Good. Well, welcome. Hare Krishna. New brahmachari dress, vanaprastha dress, or grievance. No ashram. Okay, well, we're finished there. Time is getting on. Comments or questions, please? Wouldn't it be nice to be non-envious, truly non-envious? And not just some artificial, imposition on our dealings with others, but truly non-envious. Non-envy goes along with absolute compassion. It goes along with attachment to Krishna, as we mentioned here. That's a pure devotee of the Lord, is completely non-envious. He wants you to sing a song. That's the way to do it. Any questions? It was funny the other day. What was that I was telling the other day? I was listening or reading, I can't remember. But I was listening to Bhagavat. Bhagavat Prabhu is in the Gaudiya Math, is sannyasi, Narayan Maharaj is sannyasi. Prabhupada's disciple, famous devotee, Bhagavat Prabhu. I mentioned that the other day. And he was with, I don't know if I can remember what I said. I'll see if it comes up. If Krishna allows, we will remember. If not, otherwise we won't tell it. But he was with Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, what is that verse? Quote it. And he looked at Bhagavat. And Bhagavat looked at Tamal. And Tamal looked back at Bhagavat. You quote it. No, you quote it. Neither of them knew it. And Prabhupada said, this is your problem. You're not reading my books. You're not reading my books, he said. This is your problem. How will you preach if you don't read my books? They were probably reading Prabhupada's books more than most. But he said, the problem is you're not reading my books. Prabhupada said, even I read my books. You know why I read my books? Again, they didn't. They were afraid by now to answer. Prabhupada said, I read my books because every time I read my books, I learn something new. Prabhupada had written it. How is that possible? And Prabhupada said, you know why I learn something new every time I read my books? Silence. Because when I sit down to compile these books, usually at night, Prabhupada said, Krishna sits right next to me. Krishna dictates to me what to write. I am not writing. Krishna is telling me. I'm just like a pen writing. Krishna tells me exactly what to write. That's why I learned something. That's why you have to. And then Bhagavat commenting, it was his memories. So he's commenting, he said, like, in English we say it blew his mind. I mean, he was absolutely, I am sitting next to somebody here I am, not even an ordinary person, coming from a really fallen background. I am sitting next to somebody who's sitting right next to God, who's speaking to God. Can you imagine? And we take it for granted. Oh, I don't agree with that. I know better. I don't like that. Oh, that's not right. That's the very reason we stay in this material world. Compromise. So basically all religions are compromised of this day and age. So we should try not to fall into that category. It's all about, the religion is meant to satisfy my particular perception, or our perception, basically. And if it doesn't, we'll adjust it a little bit. It's not that the times have changed, right? Times have changed. That may have been okay thousands of years ago, but people have different ideas now. We have to adjust. In preaching, one may adjust the presentation, but you don't adjust the substance. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi. So we are heading